Hello, everybody. Welcome to Nintendo Power Block, episode 168. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is that retro code, Edward Varnell.
Believe it or not, I never got to the Minus World, or never tried to get to the Minus World of Super Mario Brothers. But hello, everybody.
The Minus World?
Yeah.
What's
in
the
Super Mario Brothers?
What's the Minus World?
The Minus World was a world that you swim in, and it kept looping. You could never. It was like a glitch in the game.
Well, that's.
And you. I thought you never heard of it?
No.
Really?
Dude, you know how I am with retro games. If it wasn't like Ninja Turtles or Mario 3, I wasn't playing it. All right? You know, you know how I am.
It's a thing you need to look up. It was on the NES.
Well, now I know. You learn something new every day, Edward.
Yes.
You know? Speaking of learning things, before we get into the show, I'm really happy for the X Game Informer guys. They're starting their own thing, and it's kind of reminds me of like an Easy Allies situation where, like, you know, they lost their jobs and that was just a terrible thing, and they started their own thing, and now they're starting Min-Max Games. That's awesome.
Yes. Awesome.
I know. I'm really happy for them, and you know, it's a cool thing. I got kind of re-inspired today. I mean, last week I kind of was, but when we were talking about all that stuff at the end of the show, and you know, I got excited, but then all this crap was happening with my computer and stuff. So, like, you know, my excitement was kind of tempered by, technology. But that should hopefully be fixed next week. It should hopefully be fixed next week, and we'll be live again. We'll be recording cool things again. We'll be doing more stuff. So, you know, I'm excited, Ed. I'm having a good time.
I'm super thrilled.
I mean, even after yesterday, for some reason, YouTube emailed me and said that the NX project YouTube URL was taken away from us for some reason. That was just some BS, I think. I don't know it anymore, Ed. You know, we do stuff, and we have cool things, and then YouTube sends me an email. Now we got to fix some stuff. But what I did do, though, was I moved all the stuff from my personal YouTube page, the Corey and HD YouTube page, over to the NX Projects YouTube page. So, you know, Nintendo Power Block's there. The Nintendo Power Block Retro Game Show is there. Some Let's Plays that Jesse and I have been doing, and you know, some other things are there. So, you know, it's all in one place, and it's good to have everything in one place, you know, as we work towards what we kind of talked about on last week's episode and moving forward with some stuff, and you know, just trying to get everything in one place and ready to go for us to do that. So, but besides that, how are you, Ed? How's your day? How's your things? How's life?
Fitting into my miniature position, getting was concerned about some stuff that I'm like, I know I did right, and it kind of boggled my mind. And I kind of feel like you in the sense, Corey, where when something is on your mind and it boggles your mind and it bothers you because you know that you did something right, and it's just not, you know, you're not sure what went wrong. And I got my answer about something Wednesday and was super satisfied, was super happy. And now I feel better. I feel more enthusiastic. It's still just learning the stuff, but like I feel like I'm in a good place. And then I got some news for you after we record. I think you'll actually enjoy this.
Oh boy. Should I be concerned or excited, or both?
You should be excited.
Oh boy.
You literally should be excited.
Oh no. Okay. speaking of excitement, let's get into this housekeeping. If you're new to the show, welcome to Nintendo Power Block. Each week, Edward and I get together to talk about Nintendo games, news, analysis, rumors, and other shenanigans. You can find Nintendo Power Block on YouTube, Spotify, and your favorite podcast app on Saturdays at 7 a.m. Eastern. We are also going to be streaming live on Mixer once everything is fixed, but we'll give you more details about that later. You can follow us on Twitter at CorianHT713, that's me, and you can follow Ed at That Retro Code, and check out our other podcasts and content that we've been putting up on the YouTube page. I'm updating the website, so hopefully that will go well. And yeah, that's housekeeping. We're also going to announce our November giveaway, Ed. We're gonna do our first Nintendo Power Block giveaway since we've been back. I'm very excited about this one. So, as you know, Ed and I like to give away games sometimes, and we kind of want to make this more of a regular thing here on Nintendo Power Block. So, we're going to announce a giveaway. We're giving away a digital copy of both Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield.
Yes!
You can enter up to 4 times by each of the following. Screenshot your podcast subscription, review and rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. 5-star reviews are preferred because it helps with discoverability. An NX YouTube subscription and Mixer follow. Then send us an email of your screenshots to nintendopowerblock@gmail.com and tell us where you listen to us and what you like about the show. The winner will be drawn on Thursday, November 13th, so get your entries in. So, like I said, you can enter up to 4 times. Each of those things counts as an entry. So if you screenshot the podcast subscription, that's 1 entry. The review and rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that's a 2nd entry. An NX YouTube subscription, that's a 3rd entry. And then a Corian HD Mixer follow. We're going to try to figure out what we're doing with Mixer specifically with the future of our shows. So just stay tuned
with us.
We'll figure it out. But you send us an email with all the screenshots attached, and then tell us where you listen to us, and why you like us. So the winner again will be drawn on Thursday, November 13th. So you get your entries in, and hopefully we'll be up live because I want to make that announcement live and get the winner their digital code so they can start playing it that Friday. So
yes.
Yeah, or wait, Thursday, November 13th. That doesn't make sense. I think the 14th is the Thursday. So, my bad. Whatever that Thursday is before the game comes out, I think it's the 13th or 14th. So, yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Ooh, what would you get, sword or shield? You'll have to answer.
Me, I'm getting sword, or I'm getting shield.
Oh, I'm getting both. So my sword versus your shield.
That's fine.
We will battle.
That's fine. Ed, you playing anything interesting? You playing any games?
Yes. So I've been playing Graceful Explosion Machine.
Oh boy, that thing.
Yes, and I've been getting my tail kicked. Trying to get my score up. Once again, getting back into the groove of that game. Played a little bit of Lumines Remastered, like just having a good time with that. I really need to put my headphones in it and like listen to the soundtrack because I love the music of Lumines, but I've never really got a chance to sit down and like go track by track hearing this game for it. Played a little bit of Sengoku 3. It's an SNK beat 'em up for it. Been playing a little bit of Contra, the Japanese version of Contra 1. Enjoying that. But I've been digging my time into Ninja Clash of Carrots. And this is like an automatic runner beat 'em up arcade game where you're a rabbit who must collect carrots, and you get a sword and like a kind of a ninja star or a boomerang, to throw, and then you'll get superpowers and stuff. And it's kind of very jokey, very comedic. it's not. It's the controls are simple, but it does get a little challenging if you don't bring in the right sword or bring in the right um special weapon and everything. But I've been playing it at work and just like enjoying it on my lunch. Like I had this game for a while, but I never got the chance to dig into it. It looks really cool. It looks like it could have been on a Super Nintendo game. Um, but I just like how fun and easy and kind of how addictive it is. You do hit a lot of people and you build up combos, so it is kind of simple, but it there's a lot of stuff to master. There's a lot of stuff going on screen that you got to pay attention about. It is 2 players. You can play online if you guys care for it. It may be on sale on the eShop, but because that's what I got it on sale. But I'm definitely enjoying Ninja and Clash of Characters. Like really playing that. I know I should be playing Zelda and Daemon X Machina. I'll be jumping in those games a little bit later. But I kind of just been trying to clean up some of my indie backlog, like get it done on my Switch and stuff. Before I head back into the big major games, because Luigi's Mansion is next week, and I want to be ready for that. Pokemon, I definitely want to be ready for that. And then anything else, because I have a feeling, due to a announced game, we may see something really big happen at the next Nintendo Direct. And will we get it this month? I think it's too late, but I think we'll have one in November. There's got to be one last Direct for us.
Well, I bet there'll be a Pokemon Direct at the beginning of November, right? Just because it's coming and they always have their own. And then I'm positive there'll be one in December after the Game Awards, like they always say. You know, like they always have one at the end after the Game Awards. So I think we're good for 2 more Directs this year.
Yeah, because like I think they want to get at least until March. We know Animal Crossing is like right now is their like cut off of games that we know. And they won't jump really big into 2020, maybe until February. You know, I think they'll do like the indie highlights and stuff in January, but we may get like we won't see anything big until possibly March when Animal Crossing come out for like the start or maybe February.
There's usually one at the beginning of February, right? Or middle of February to like say what's coming at the first part of spring, right? Like, yeah, you know, we already know the big January games are going to be Xenoblade and Tokyo Mirage Sessions, which boy, that's a tough January. I mean, like 2 huge RPGs ready to just play on Switch. Sorry, I'm trying to contain my excitement because my wife and my kid are both sleeping, and like we record this show after they go to bed, so like it's really hard for me to be excited, and that's kind of why like the last couple weeks like I've been kind of low key a little bit, and like struggling to like because like I want that intro to pop, right? And like yes, it's hard for me to keep a down tone intro, so I'm like thinking about keeping my voice lower instead of just letting loose on the show. But there could be some changes coming real soon. Hopefully, I know we're talking about Nintendo, but Sunday we are. Let's just say the show might be in a new location in a couple months. So we'll see. I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't want to jinx anything, but Sunday we're going to find out some information, and I'm very excited. So anyways, back to Nintendo Direct stuff. Like, I really think that there will be one in February to talk about March and April. And, like, Animal Crossing will definitely be the big one. I'm sure they will want to announce the final Smash character at some point for season or Fighter Pass 1. I'm sure they want to get Fighter Pass 2 out there, and maybe, having another character as like an incentive, the way that Piranha Plant was, right? Like if you pre-order the fighter pass, you get a fighter for free or something.
And I think they're holding off the last fighter to the Game Awards, like this year. I think we will find out who the last fighter.
Do we know all the fighter, or do we know fighters up to that point? Like, are we missing one or two?
We're missing one more, because Piranha Plant is not part of it. No. So it was Joker, Hero from Dragon Quest,
Banjo. Wasn't there one in between Joker and Dragon Quest Hero and Banjo though? Wasn't there one in between?
Yeah. No. Because the fourth is Fatal Frame.
Right. No, Fatal Fury.
Fatal Fury. Terry.
Yeah.
Terry's the fourth one. So now we have.
Okay, so there's only 5 in the fighter pass. Okay.
Yeah, so we have one more, and so he or she or it will be the last one that we will see probably at the Game Awards, and then maybe at the start of 2020 when they do that first Nintendo Direct, Season 2 should be into effect.
Yeah. Okay. I was just trying to figure everything out and see what's happening, and sorry, I was looking it up, and you're right. So, yeah, man, I think we're gonna get that Animal Crossing. I'm sure Gods and Monsters will be featured in something, because I know Ubisoft kind of wants to position that as a Switch game, even though we're gonna talk about it later. But I know a bunch of Ubisoft games just got delayed.
Some Atlas is probably gonna have 2 games, or maybe 3.
Well, I mean, they'll have Tokyo. Aren't they developing Tokyo Mirage Sessions, right? And then they'll have. We still haven't seen anything on Shin Megami Tensei 5 yet either.
Which is one, because like they've been showing stuff in Japan, but we haven't got an update about that. And then when we get into a particular story for a game and news, hopefully another thing get attached to it, because yes, I have thoughts, because I was just like
yep.
Yes.
Hey, you playing anything else? No.
No, not really. I've just been looking at my Switch, trying to see if anything else that I play. Nope, that's about it.
Okay. Well, for me, I played a couple matches of Fortnite season, or Chapter 2, Season 1, because that's a weird way to say that now. I mean, it's Fortnite. I'm sure there's a bunch of differences that I don't know or care about, because I don't play Fortnite that much. But I did play it on the Switch because it finally updated, and it's Fortnite. It's a new map, so that's happening. But I mean, it's Fortnite, so I don't really have anything else to say. And then, I'm looking at this huge list of games that I have to play, right? Like I have this huge list of games that I need to play for Game of the Year discussion. I have this huge list of games that, Game Pass, there's a bunch now. Control, I haven't finished. Destiny, I haven't finished. The Outer Worlds is coming out, or is out by the time you hear this.
When is the Outer Worlds for Switch coming? Is it delayed?
No, they just said it's later. They never said. They said it wasn't coming out day and date. It's coming later, so I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere in the spring. But yeah, so I'm gonna try to stream and record something on the Outer Worlds in the next couple days, because I really want to get back focused into the content that we want to do for what we're planning, and I want to stream too. Don't get me wrong. I really want to get back into streaming too, but.
Yes.
If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. So, but yeah, I need to check out the Outer Worlds and Control. I want to record a video on. But I was looking at my Switch and I was like, you know what I want to play? An RPG. So you know what I did? I started 2 of them. Old games, by the way. Some of them over a decade old. I started up Final Fantasy 12 on Switch.
Yes.
And man, that game looks really good for being a 14-year-old game at this point. It looks real good. And I know like they went in and fixed a lot of things and made the character models. They made new character models similar to 10 and 8. Like, but that game looks really good. I love the scale of that game. I love just like moving the camera to look up and like just the buildings and stuff. Everything is so tall and big, and you can't go up there, right? But you can. The sense of scale in that game is pretty cool. And then I started up Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Yes.
Again, and I started over because I'm like, why would I start? Because I don't know what I'm doing. So I did that first mission, and then went through the city stuff, and then I went through that whole first where you get the blade, the first blade, and then I'm on the first Titan thing. So like right where it opens up into that grass area. So that's where I'm at there. By the way, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is a really good looking game. It's almost like it looks like Breath of the Wild, and you say, oh, well, did they copy it? No, they actually helped with the development of Breath of the Wild, so that's why the environments look similar. So that is a good game. That's a good looking game. I wanted to get back into it because Xenoblade 1 what's it called? Definitive Edition is coming. Yeah. And I just wanted to get my feet wet with some Xenoblade because Xenoblade 1 is really good. I think it's I don't know if it's aged as well as people want it to, but it is still it's one of the definitive RPGs of that time, right? 2004? I think they localized it here. 2000. No, that's 2009. 2009.
Yeah, because we was
right. Why we
809? Yeah, because we was still available before Wii U came out.
Yeah, because I think Xenoblade 1 was the first of those 3 that they ported over, right? One Xenoblade, and then Pandora Tomorrow. No, that's not it. Pandora's
Box?
No. Something Pandora. Anyways, it was that, and then the last story, which I hope that they take a.
That needs to switch.
I hope
that needs to switch release
because Mistwalker's still around, right? They're making mobile games,
yes,
right? So like, I really hope they kind of go back and say, hey, can we get an HD port of this? And they kind of, even if Mistwalker doesn't do it in house, because like their RPGs are really good. Like I didn't play Blue Dragon, but Lost Odyssey is like the best Final Fantasy game in the last 20 years. Just gonna throw that out there, and it's backwards compatible on Xbox One, and it was free for like 3 months. So if you didn't get it.
And the thing about the last story is that I couldn't get it because I went and got Xenoblade, and my friend went ahead and got it, and we were supposed to switch, like let each other use it, but it never turned. It didn't happen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it happens, but I have a copy, and I got that the original run copy with the nice art book and the cool box, like the cool like magnetic box, and that's a cool game, man. I bought one of the newer Pro controllers for Wii just for that game because they're like recommended to play with a classic controller.
Pandora's Tower, Corey.
That one, Pandora's Tower. Thank you. I was like, I know it's not box. I think it's Pandora's Castle, but that doesn't sound right. So Pandora's Tower, another cool game. Kind of like a action RPG mixed, like the combat was kind of like, I want to say like kind of Dark Souls-y before Dark Souls. It was very slow and deliberate. It wasn't hard. Like it wasn't meant to be hard. It was just very deliberate and kind of slow. So cool game though.
Yes.
But that's all I've been playing. I've been wanting to finish Fire Emblem, and I'm like, meh. I've been wanting to play Link's Awakening. I'm like, meh. I've been wanting to check out Untitled Goose Game. I'm like, So yeah, that's all I've been playing, dude. That's all I've been playing.
Yeah.
I've been up. I wanted to go to bed early last night, but I got on a roll of changing everything over to the NX's YouTube channel, and I was trying to figure out where to put everything. So I reopened the Nintendo Power Block playlist over there, and I'm gonna update the website this weekend and make sure everything is kind of starting. I'm starting with the newest stuff this time instead of working the old stuff up. I'm gonna work with the newest stuff and work backwards. That way everybody's up to date on stuff. And I'm also gonna move the Arsenal X stuff over, so you'll be seeing classic episodes of squad goals and stuff go up in the next couple weeks. So very excited for that as well.
Hey.
Oh, my nose. Why is it running all of a sudden? But that's all I've been playing. So we're going to get into the news bits here. Our first story, a game I'm actually really, really looking forward to, Gods and Monsters, along with Rainbow Six Quarantine and Watch Dogs Legion. I know people don't really care about that on a Nintendo show, but Ubisoft has delayed a bunch of games because of certain games underperforming. So I'm just going to read the article here on Game Informer. During Ubisoft's financial earnings call, the publisher announced that it would be delaying Gods and Monsters, Rainbow Six Quarantine, and Watch Dogs Legion to 2020 to 2021 fiscal year. So for people who don't know, that is April of 2020 through March of 2021. Ubisoft CEO and co-founder Yves Guillemot stated the reason for the delay was to give each developer more time to craft its vision of each game. While not explicitly stated, the delays may stem from the company's recent troubles with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. According to the call, Breakpoint has failed to meet sales expectations, and the company largely blames not giving the game enough time to differentiate itself from previous entries. It is harder to generate interest for a sequel hold on, let me restart that. It is harder to generate interest for a sequel to a live multiplayer game when prior iterations benefited from years of optimization. Consequently, we need to make sure there is more time between each iteration of live games. I don't think that was the problem, though. I think that
they monetized the heck out of that game.
I don't even think that's the problem. I think the problem is Wildlands and The Division, right, are two totally different games, right? And people like The Division for one thing, and people liked Wildlands for another. And I feel like they tried to make Ghost Recon Breakpoint meet somewhere in the middle, and it failed to do that. And I think people who want an RPG style game, they're going to go for The Division, and for people who want, the like a stealthy kind of multiplayer romp that you just go in with your friends and take out bases. And I didn't play Wildlands enough to even know what you do in that game, to be 100% honest.
You did yourself a service, trust me.
But you know what I mean? Like, people want that. They don't want those experiences mixing. And, Assassin's Creed made sense to go the action RPG route because it's Assassin's Creed. And I actually really loved Origins and Odyssey. They were fantastic games. And Watch Dogs seems to be doing the same thing. I haven't played enough Watch Dogs to really know, and Legion just looks like it does not interest me one bit, to be 100% honest. I played 1 on Wii U, which was not the way to play that game, and 2, I heard from all accounts, was pretty good. But
yeah, it really was good. I really did enjoy it too.
Plus, I think these games are being delayed because they want to hit that cross-generation thing to where, like, hey, Watch Dogs is going to be playable on all the new consoles as well as the old consoles. Or, I think Rainbow Six Quarantine would be a decent launch game for new systems,
I don't even think, my opinion about this is that I don't think none of those games were ready at all in the first place. Plus,
you look at Gods and Monsters, which is most relevant to Switch audiences, because I really think Ubisoft is going to try to position that as a Switch first game.
Yeah.
And like, we saw what a 60-second trailer, and that's all we've seen at that game at E3, and it was supposed to be out 8-9 months later.
Well,
That's not anything.
That was everything at Ubisoft's E3 conference. It's just like,
I mean, that was everything at everybody's conference. Let's
well,
be fair.
besides Nintendo. But the thing about it, it was just that. So Breakpoint they showed for Stadia, they hyped it up with the trailer and everything. And
Stadia's a whole different story.
Exactly.
Oh man!
But
remember all those features we promised? Not going to be there at launch. Remember the Bluetooth controller that every company makes for their console? Got to plug it in. I'm just like, how do you not have something as simple as Bluetooth like working? Anyways, continue. Sorry.
No, you were preaching.
Google Stadia is going to be questionable content.
Yes. Breakpoint, people blamed on how much because it was just like you can't. The thing with Ghost Recon Wildlands was that you were able to go to different areas and find special guns for your arsenal. In Breakpoint, it sounds like that if you want those good guns and stuff, you literally had to pay for them.
No,
there was no
answer. No, that's not.
There was no answer. I mean, that's the way that the way that it sounds. No one said that.
It's cosmetic stuff. It's everything you can buy for Breakpoint. You get a leveling. You can buy a leveling boost similar to what you could buy in Assassin's Creed. And then the guns. I think everything you can buy from that store is cosmetic. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it sounded like.
I mean, it sounded bad because they didn't have clear messaging. I know what you're saying.
Right, like this heavy monetization, like what they showed of Breakpoint led you to believe none of that would be happening for this game. Mm-hmm. Even with them doing all this collective stuff, they had no idea about this. So to throw it in at the last moment for when you actually got the game and you actually seen that, this is all this is in this game, it's not a good sign for Ubisoft, So yes, God and Monster is delayed to well then. Look, Ubisoft is in a weird spot. Like they're having their success, but their success is very questionable, and it's kind of like sitting by the sideline to watch what happens. Because even though Gods and Monsters is delayed, where is between Good and Evil 2? Beyond Good and Evil 2, where is the update for that? Where is for Honor? Like something about Ubisoft, and they have to have something for E3 by next year. Something about them needs to change, and if they don't change it, it's not going to be good for any console with their games being on it. They're in their business plan. I don't think people are going to be interested in wanting to play or buy any of their products. So it's good. If they need to work on these games, go ahead and work on them. Do the cross-generation stuff if y'all need to. That's good and dandy, but just heavy monetization, I really think that they're thinking of, we can't put this in because this became such a big newsworthy story. This really led players off from buying our game. Mm-hmm. So we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll later see.
We'll see. I think games getting delayed is good. I think a lot of it is Ubisoft knows these games aren't going to be up to snuff, and they're going up against like the Final Fantasy VII remake and Cyberpunk and Avengers, which are maybe not games we're looking forward to specifically, but a lot of people are looking forward to certain games in that genre. So plus there's a lot coming out next year for Nintendo fans to enjoy anyway. So
yes.
Speaking of games for Nintendo fans to enjoy, Tencent is reportedly hiring Switch port specialists. Part owners of Fortnite and PUBG also working with Nintendo specifically. This comes from Nintendo Life. It's fair to say that a giant Chinese conglomerate, Tencent, has its fingers in a lot of pies, video game related and otherwise. The holdings company owns stakes in a large number of game companies across the globe, including League of Legends developer Riot Games, Epic Games, Activision Blizzard, and Ubisoft, just to name a few. They also brought huge MOBA Arena of Valor to Switch last year. According to Daniel Hamad, a senior analyst at Nyko Partners, the company is on the lookout for a game developer with experience porting games to Nintendo Switch. You can read Ahmad's tweet below. He just says Tencent is hiring a game dev to specialize in porting titles to Nintendo Switch. Tencent previously ported and launched Arena of Valor on Switch. More titles could be on the way, blah, blah, blah. And then there's a screenshot of a lot of Chinese text that I'm sure has been translated a few times. So, Nintendo is currently working with the company to launch Switch and localize games for China, and Tencent has also been looking to acquire more studios in addition to the many it already has in its brimming portfolio. So, could be seeing some games being ported to Switch from the developers owned by Tencent, I guess. So, I don't know. I think Tencent is looking, because they own Riot Games fully, the League of Legends developers, and I almost put it in the notes here, but I didn't. It's not really something I think we need to be concerned about yet, but Riot did just celebrate LOL 10, which is League of Legends 10th anniversary, by announcing their free-to-play card game, which would probably be a hit on Switch. They announced a hero shooter called Project A, I think, and it's Counter-Strike meets Overwatch, and a fighting game, Project L, which is a fighting game probably featuring League of Legends characters, amongst other games. But, I think they also announced a MOBA coming to consoles in a couple years. So they announced a bunch of new games, and I think a lot of them would probably fit on Switch at some point. Fighting game, definitely. Card game, definitely. So maybe they're looking to kind of go that route with it. But what do you think, Ed? What do you think about the Tencent stuff?
I think it's good. This is the only way to get Switch into China, and people are willing to, play those games and give it a try. I think this is a good way. And trying to find someone to support some games for it, that's cool. And maybe, who knows? We could probably be getting some games that only were released or created in China. Maybe we could get them here in America.
Yeah,
so.
I know a lot of people are kind of against Chinese development and Chinese meddling in American or Western companies, but I don't really know enough about Tencent to tell you if they're good or bad or whatever, but I do know they own stakes in Capcom and Bandai Namco and Activision Blizzard and the companies I mentioned in the article. They have their hands in a lot of pie. I think they're just a big investment firm that just wants to make money anywhere they can, and video games is a big market, and so why not try to do more with it is kind of what I'm seeing. So anyways, speaking of Capcom, which has nothing to do with the story because the game's not in this collection, but this comes from Nintendo Life. Retro and Legacy Editions announced for Aladdin and The Lion King. Pre-orders open later today. Retro video game lovers are in for a treat later this month when Aladdin and Lion King arrive on Switch. As part of this launch, multiple physical editions have been announced as well. The first two are Switch-exclusive retro editions for $49.99 each. Both of these come with an exclusive poster, a retro-style manual, and a retro-style packaging. It's cool. The Switch Lion King and Aladdin looks like a Super Nintendo box. It looks really cool.
Yeah.
If you prefer legacy cartridges, I Am 8-Bit is offering Aladdin on Sega Genesis cart and Lion King on a Super Nintendo cart. Both of these are limited to 4,500 copies, and each will set you back about $100. Pre-orders of those also open later today. It's cool. The Lion King one is a yellow cartridge. It looks really cool. And the physical Aladdin version comes in a Sega Genesis box. It's awesome. But I already have that box and that game. So, brand new playable cartridge, compatible with NTSC Genesis and EU Mega Drive retro consoles. These are just describing the cartridges, so I'm not going to read that. Sorry, everybody. If you don't like forking out this much money for these fancy versions, you can always opt for the standard digital or physical copy of Aladdin and the Lion King. So, it's cool. I like it. I like seeing stuff like this. I know Capcom did this with Street Fighter 2 a couple years ago, I want to say, where they actually made collector's edition cartridges, and there's actually special cartridges, like 1 out of every 10 was green, which was an extra limited edition or something. So it's cool. I know I Am 8-Bit specializes in stuff like this too. It's just cool to see stuff like this come out, and as a big Disney fan, and a huge fan of the Genesis versions of those games, very cool. Very, very, very cool.
So these games were developed by Virgin.
Yeah.
Or published by Virgin.
Which is why the Aladdin for Super Nintendo is not on here, because it was developed by Capcom.
Capcom, yes. I heard the Lion King was super hard, and I never played it.
Oh, the Lion King is super hard, dude. The level, I just can't wait to be king level. Oh, jumping on those animals and trying to guess which monkeys to jump to, because if you jumped through the wrong rings of monkeys, they would throw you in the water and you'd have to start over. And it was just stupid monkeys. Hate them. So
yeah, but I think I like that they're doing this kind of collection. I don't really go for those games because Aladdin to me was like kind of perfect on Super Nintendo. But like I think if these games were like a little bit cheaper, or I'll just wait for a sale to try them out. But
I think the physical edition's only $30 for the basic edition, like just the Switch box and the cart.
Well, a game like Aladdin and the Lion King is something I'll do digitally. I wouldn't do it physically. I know because you're a big Disney fan, that would be cool for you to have.
It would be cool, but I also already own them physically from when they originally came out in the 90s. So
that is okay.
So I don't think I will be getting those physical editions because they're just fancier cartridges than the ones I already have.
Right. Now, if I was gonna do like a kind of cartoon thing, I would like Animaniacs for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Or no, not Animaniacs. I'm sorry, Tiny Toons.
Ooh, Tiny Toon Adventures, dude. Oh, that library level, dude. Oh, it was awful. Hated it. Anyways, let's move on to the next story. Speaking of classic video games, Ed. This comes from Game Informer. Relive handheld glories with the Analog Pocket. The Analog, the company behind the Super NT and the Mega SG Premium retro consoles, has announced the Analog Pocket. This new handheld device follows in the footsteps of the Super NT and Mega SG systems in that it allows you to play retro games you already own natively with no emulation required, but it also adds several new features to help make this more unique product. The Analog Pocket works out of the box with nearly 3,000 cartridges from the libraries of Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. That's so awesome. Additionally, you can purchase cartridge adapters that will allow it to work with games from other handheld system libraries like Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket, and Atari Lynx. Dude, have you seen the look of this console?
Yeah.
It looks so cool. I want one so bad. But the Analog Pocket features a 3.5-inch 615 ppi LCD screen. I don't know what any of those numbers mean. With 10 times the resolution of the original Game Boy, the team behind it claims that it is the most advanced screen to ever appear on a video game system. On top of that, all buttons on the system are mappable, and the sound comes from through the stereo speakers or a 3.5 millimeter set of headphones. The system also has a micro SD slot, an original link cable plug, which is awesome, and a rechargeable battery that uses USB-C. Man, all this sounds amazing. I want one so bad.
Yeah.
If you would rather play your games on the big screen, Analog will also be releasing the Analog Pocket Dock, which lets you output directly to a monitor via HDMI. You can also use the dock to sync directly with the wireless Bluetooth controllers or connect up to 2 controllers directly via USB cable. That's so awesome. I want one of these really bad now. I want the black one. Oh, it looks so sexy. Sorry, this is getting real weird. While the Analog Pocket's core functionality is playing retro games from various handheld devices of the past, the system has something for creative types as well. The Analog Pocket is designed for FPGA development, with a second dedicated FPGA included specifically for developers to create and port using Analog's proprietary hardware and scalers. The system also features a built-in digital audio workstation called Nanoloop, which includes a synthesizer and sequencer. This is designed for music creation and live performance, so you can even try your hand at composing or playing live using the Analog Pocket. That's so cool. Dude, that sounds like something up Jesse's alley, to be honest with you. The music creation tools. Oh. The Analog Pocket is set to hit sometime in 2020 and will cost $200. The price and release information for the dock is yet to be announced. Oh my gosh, I want that so bad. Dude, it looks so cool. Oh,
yeah.
I want that black one so bad.
I think when it comes out, I think a lot of people are going to buy it, and then they'll probably hit like a lot of games.
Dude,
GameStop.
The collection of, like with this thing, I think the collection of retro cartridges for Game Boy and Game Boy Advance specifically are going to go up. Like a lot of people are going to start looking for those again. Dude, I'm so happy. Like the picture in the story has, not only does it have Fall of the Foot Clan, the best Ninja Turtles Game Boy game.
Yes.
It also has this weird Mickey Mouse game that I used to play on my Game Boy, and they have that in the picture as well.
Nice.
So awesome. So but the Analog Pocket for you retro handheld gamers is coming to you soon for $200. So awesome. I want one really bad. I wonder if this is going to spike any interest for Nintendo to make a Game Boy Classic. I mean, not that it's like the same thing, because I think this is more for retro cartridge collectors more than like, you know, whatever, more than like the people who buy that, like you know, people buy this Super NT and those Retron boxes to play their carts that they already own, right? Whereas I think, you know, people who buy the SNES Classic or the NES Classic are people who just like, oh, I want to play those games once in a while, but I don't really collect, you know. So it's cool though. Oh, this is so cool. Yeah, dude, they're both cool. I want the white one too.
I'll take the black.
Oh man, they're so cool.
The white would get too dirty.
All right, we're moving on. This story comes from Nintendo Life. It's about Rocket League. By the way, did you see the stuff they're doing in Rocket League for Halloween?
Yes.
They're doing a cool Stranger Things crossover, which I'm not really into Stranger Things, but like it looks cool with what they're doing. But anyways, the original Rocket League DLC packs are being added to the base game for free. The update is rolling out before the end of the year. In the latest news post, Psyonix has revealed that it will be adding all the original DLC packs in the base version of Rocket League at no additional cost. This includes Supersonic Fury, Revenge of the Battle Cars, and Chaos Run DLC pack. Following an update before the end of the year, everything included in the Supersonic Fury, Revenge of the Battle Cars, and Chaos Run DLC packs will be automatically available for all Rocket League owners. In other words, all owners of Rocket League will also have access to Dominus, Takumi, Scarab, Zippy, Ripper, and Grog. Those must be cars that you can play as in Rocket League. As a result of this, the 3 DLCs will no longer be available to purchase. Rocket League Game of the Year Edition will also no longer be available because it includes these 3 DLCs. If you purchase this content after October 1st, 2019, you'll be eligible for a refund through the respective platform. So cool if you're playing Rocket League on Switch, which is a great version of that game.
Yes.
You're getting some free DLC. So that's really cool. Psyonix has also confirmed the next Frosty Fest will take place in December, which is their snow-covered hockey event. So that's really cool too. Their hockey events are cool. I like watching that sometimes.
I'm surprised that Rocket League haven't been like in esports and stuff like that.
I mean, I think it has. We're just not the audience for it. Like, we don't really pay attention. You know, it's the same. It's the same thing with like Overwatch League. Like, we know it exists, so you just don't watch it. Although I watch it sometimes.
But that's cool. Like getting a good value that people are buying the base game and then the free DLC, because like that's a lot of content and stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Shout outs to them.
Yeah. Man, Psyonix has really been doing a lot of things right, I think, with Rocket League. You know, it's that game. I can't believe that game is still going, dude. It's like I know Moose posted something in the Nerds Gone Rogue community about Helldivers getting an update.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. I didn't know people still played Helldivers. Like, I mean, and don't get me wrong, it was fun when we played it that one night with them, but like, that game is what, 4 or 5 years old at this point, and I know Rocket League is like super competitive, and it was free on PlayStation for a while, and it's on Game Pass, and it's on Switch now. Like, I know that game is everywhere and it's popular, but like, they're still like going like it came out like 6 months ago. It's awesome. I love seeing games like this just keep going and just keep like, because like in a world of like Fortnite and Destiny and Call of Duty, right? It's nice to see the small indie game kind of get the recognition it deserves. And because if people remember, Rocket League is actually a sequel. Rocket League is a sequel to a game that came out on PS3 called Supersonic Rocket Cars or something.
Yeah.
And it did not do well. Like, the company almost went down because of that, I think. Or they were in some financial trouble, and they ended up getting funding for Rocket League. And I think the PlayStation Plus free, because it came out on PlayStation Plus on release day. And I think that really, really helped that game take off.
Yes.
So Rocket League's a cool game. I bought it on Switch. It's super cool. So especially if you have kids, right? Like, I think a lot of kids are really into it too. So, all right, we're gonna move on to our last news story. It's not really a news story. It's more of a interesting interview Ed sent to me about Nintendo's dev teams and their development and stuff. So this last story comes from Nintendo Life. Nintendo's dev teams need freedom to experiment, according to President Shuntaro Furukawa. New ideas are what it's all about. Since Shuntaro Furukawa, wow, I'm really bad, I'm sorry, took over as Nintendo's president in 2018, we've heard how he wants to respect the company's traditions and would like more people playing Nintendo games than ever before. Now, in a rare Western interview recently, he revealed how, quote, above all else, he wants Nintendo's teams to be able to experiment with new ideas so the iconic video game company can keep doing what it does best. Quote, above all else, I base my decisions on the development leader's way of thinking. Nintendo is Nintendo because of our games, characters, and IP. So giving our teams the freedom to experiment with new ideas is something I strongly agree with. Expansion can't happen without the freedom to try something new and the courage to step into unfamiliar territory. Furukawa started in Nintendo's accounting department in 1994, so it is a relief to hear how encouraging he is of freedom and new ideas despite potential financial risks, and especially after the troubled Wii U generation, which was arguably a reminder of how the company's experimentation can backfire. So, really cool to see someone as big as Nintendo. It's kind of like the same approach that Xbox is taking with their teams, right? Like it's nice to see Nintendo kind of take that and verbally say that as well, right? Where, you know, we talk about how Phil Spencer bought up all these companies, or well, not Phil Spencer himself, but, you know, Xbox buying all these companies and saying, hey, we want you to have the creative freedom, you know, with the Game Pass subscription, and you know, we just want your game. We want you to make the game that you are envisioning without any setbacks, right? And it's nice to see that Nintendo is stepping out of their comfort zone too. Like, I mean, we saw it with Breath of the Wild, right? Right off the bat. That game on paper does not read like a Zelda game, right? Open world, do whatever you want. Like, I mean, it does from like a classic sense, but like not from the 3D Zeldas. Like, it was the 3D Zeldas were very linear, even though you could go into Hyrule Field and run around and explore, right? Like, there was a definitive path where Breath of the Wild, you could go wherever you wanted, you can find shrines, that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting to see this open up about this. So
we kind of even seen it when Iwata was alive with Splatoon. You know, who knew that an online style game like Splatoon would take off like that? You know, and bringing in these three new people that we haven't really heard of, but they're coming in and experimenting and showcasing and working on it. And I'm like, that's cool.
And playing off what you said about Iwata real quick, like, you know, I know like the Wii and the Wii U and the DS were all like kind of his ideas, but I think what the Switch is now is like finally what Iwata wanted from the creations of the DS and the Wii and the Wii U, like coming together, right? Like, I know he had a very heavy influence on what the Switch was before he passed away, and sadly he didn't get to see it you know, come to fruition or whatever, but like his influence is in there, and to see Furukawa kind of fill those shoes in the same direction is like really comforting as a Nintendo fan, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So
and it's I actually asked one of my Twitter friends, I'm just like, do you think companies need to have failure? And Nintendo have had some. If you want to consider it as a failure, you can with Wii and Wii U and some other things, like how people kind of laugh or really just like, this stuff is not for me. It belongs in the closet. I'm just like, ideas that fail sometimes could always resurrect to make something successful. And you know, Wii U, Wii, DS, like all the stuff that Nintendo has done, even with GameCube and N64, all the stuff that Nintendo has done with just their technology and their systems kind of led everything up to right now. And to see games and their ideas on each of those platforms still being used to this very day. You know, you could say that N64 was a failure. That's fine. But look how much Rumble played that part. Look how much the Z-targeting
and the analog stick, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, PlayStation launched with the original controller with no analog sticks, right? Like, it was all still D-pad, face buttons, you know, 2 shoulder buttons, right? And no rumble. And, you know, you got games like Resident Evil and Dino Crisis and games that, you know, Metal Gear even, where you had to turn with the shoulder buttons. You couldn't, like, you know, you play games like we do today, and then Nintendo introduces the analog stick, and what does PlayStation do? They make a controller with 2 analog sticks, right? And
right.
Rumble and you know, the Rumble pack was huge. You know, it's heavy as crap and takes batteries and dies every 5 minutes, but like that, just having that force feedback in Star Fox was awesome, because that's the game I remember getting my Rumble pack with was Star Fox. I remember that the big cardboard box that was like three times the size of a normal Nintendo 64 box.
And even if you look at Donkey Kong 64, when it had like the upgrade chip
Yeah,
that you put
the
in,
ramp, the expansion.
the ramp,
That's I
like
mean, that's what we named expansion pack after.
like like who who would even actually think of that? Well, there was 32X, but like it didn't. 32X was Sega Genesis like add-on, but it didn't do how well the RAM card was. And then just even if you look at GameCube, even with it's kind of like low sales and stuff, the four controllers, the handle and
Dude, the
everything, where
GameCube
the
controller
mini,
is so good.
yeah, like it's crazy to even think that, attaching a Game Boy Advance player and playing Game Boys on TV. But like the Wavebird, like the Wavebird itself was kind of like the first Bluetooth controller.
Yeah, I mean,
And
it was. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, it used
was
it
it?
used radio signals to communicate, but it was the first party wireless controller, and it worked. Right, it wasn't one of these third party Logitech ones that worked sometimes, or didn't interfere with your TV remote or anything. Right, it was the Wavebird was a great version of the GameCube controller that just worked. Right, it just worked, and now we're so used to like wireless controllers, and I know hardcore people plug their controllers in to have better response time or whatever, but the 99% of us like sitting back on our couch playing games and with the wireless controller. It's not like it used to be where we had to have the Nintendo sitting on the floor and be like 10 feet from the TV with the controller, right? Because like gosh, controller cords are so bad. Like I remember sitting behind, my parents had a little TV set up for me behind their couch with my with my NES and my Genesis sitting on this little 2-shelf rolly cart, right, with a small TV on it. And I would sit behind the couch really close to the TV because the cords weren't long enough to be in the entertainment center. So that's where I played my games. It was awesome. Don't get me wrong.
Dude, I played all my games standing up. I had a dresser drawer, a four dresser drawer, and my TV and my Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx. All my video game consoles were always on my dresser on my little TV, and I would just stand up and play them.
Well,
like
and
that
then,
was the only play.
And then I remember going over to my friend Brian's house, and I remember they got a big TV in their basement, and we hooked a Super Nintendo up to it, and we played Turtles in Time for the first time. Like I remember this so vividly, and like his dad was like a big train collector, so he had like this huge train set behind us, and we had like the Super Nintendo in front of us hooked up to this giant TV, and we would hold up Ninja Turtle action figures. You're like, the turtles are as big as our action figures on this TV, and like we would play that, and we would play in Mario Kart and Mario, like Super Mario World and stuff. But like it was while like Nintendo's made so many innovations in the space. Like say what you will about the Wii, but just look at the simplifying the controller sold that console. Right, like it's just making that controller so simple to use and understand. People understood how to use the Wii just by looking at the remote, and it was like for me. I mean, I know you like the Wii, but like for me, like I didn't really care for the Wii because of that. But like you can't deny the innovation of that controller and what it did for that console.
Right, it got people in. That was the thing about it. It was just like, this is innovation, and this is what people can create. I know people were so focused on success, but let there be some failures, because you could always learn something from them. And if you still believe in a product, it's still going to support it. You could put out a new version of it. Take the good, maybe work on some of the bad that you still think can work, and apply it. And that's kind of what Nintendo has been about, and definitely seeing it. And I always talk about ARMS and stuff. Just like, it's good that Furukawa gave them to do something like ARMS. Taking Punch Out and taking the Wii boxing stuff, and just like mixing them together, but also make it arcadey and make it fun. Letting that be out there and giving it a chance, because it created a community. We don't really hear from them, or we don't talk about them, but it's good to read that, this is a community that was born out of something that was new, that was fresh, and something that hasn't been done in a long time, and it works. Mixing a fighter and a boxing game together, like what boxing game can you name that has a big community besides what Punch Out and Ready to Rumble, maybe? And that's
Ready to Rumble. Jeez.
And that's a big if. But it's good that Furukawa is letting these teams come up with ideas, test them, see if they work. If things don't work, it's always good that they could brainstorm new stuff, work on it, and bring something else. If not, carry that idea to existing IP and flesh it out and make it work. Like I love that, and I feel like we don't. Sorry to say this, I feel like we don't get that from Microsoft. We don't get that for Sony, because they're trying to achieve a different thing, a different goal for a different audience. And I kind of wish that they would go out. I wish they would go out and create something new, so that even Nintendo could look at them and be like, I would love to have that idea on my platform. And not the reverse. Yeah. I would love for that to happen.
Yeah. And I think just growing up with Nintendo, I know a lot of kids haven't grown up with Nintendo the way that we have, right? Like, it's just the fact that, Xbox and PlayStation have become way bigger than they were in the early 2000s, or even PlayStation in the late 90s. Like, I know PlayStation was big in the 90s, but you know what I mean? Like, kids grew up with either PlayStation or N64 or Xbox or GameCube or PlayStation 2. Like, it just wasn't the same with us growing up, because, the NES was it. There were very few people who had a Master System, right? Like, it's almost a negligible amount. Let's be honest, right? I mean, I have a Master System sitting at home, but let's be honest, who played it? I mean, what are you going to play? Enduro Racer? Rocky? Pass. So Alex Kidd, maybe.
It's the town.
Oh man,
Outrun, Double Dragon.
Oh man, you can play those on NES. Anyways, getting back to the point I was making is, like, there's so many more options now, and Genesis. I got a Genesis because my cousin bought a Super Nintendo, and he gave me his Genesis. Right, that's why I ended up having a Genesis. And then when N64 came out, I almost asked for a Super Nintendo for Christmas instead of a Nintendo 64, because of playing it at my friends' houses and all the cool new games. And I think Metroid and Donkey Kong were coming out, and I wanted to play them, and I didn't get to because I didn't have them. I didn't have a Super Nintendo, and I got an N64 instead. Which, don't get me wrong, very good decision. Super Mario 64 still remains as one of my favorite games of all time.
It was high up there for a lot of people.
But yeah, Nintendo has innovated a lot, and I think that's why they're still around today. And it's because of at least on the console side, they've had a lot of freedom to do what they felt they needed to do. And now, seeing that reiteration on the game side is reassuring as a Nintendo fan. Speaking of Nintendo fans, let's get into the question block.
Yes.
Remember, you can email the show at nintendopowblock@gmail.com with your question. Of course, we are changing the way when we finalize everything, the way you interact with the show. But for now, you can email us at nintendopowblock@gmail.com or look for our question threads on our social media. Thank you, Ed, for putting the call out while I was bathing my kid. Our first question comes from Ashley Davidson. She says, "Do you think Nintendo teams have the creative freedom to create the games they want to make? Who's your favorite Nintendo developer?" Well, I mean,
Ooh.
that is that. I mean, we kind of answered the first part of this question already. Like, I think Nintendo does have the creative freedom because the original creators are still running the show. If Miyamoto and Anuma and Iwata up till his passing. Like all these guys have been around since the NES, right? And they're still running the show because of how creative they were. And I think letting them, like you brought up Splatoon earlier, right?
Yes.
Letting them have the creative freedom to make Splatoon was a huge risk, especially on the Wii U, right? But look how well it did, and look how well Splatoon 2 is still doing to this day, right? Like, it's still in the top 10, Nintendo releases since the Switch has come out. And so look at ARMS. Look at the risk they took on ARMS, and it sold pretty well for a new IP, right? I think it's sold over 2 million copies. And don't get me wrong, you have some busts like 1-2 Switch was not great, but you did have Snipper Clips, right? Like Snipper Clips was a huge success for Nintendo, and that developer, I can't think of the developer's name at this point, but I think they are allowed to be creative, and I think that's what's making the Switch so successful. They're allowed to put out games like Xenoblade Chronicles 2, right? Like that. I mean, another JRPG in this climate, like, sure, why not? We're not gonna sell 1 million copies, but then you do sell 1 million copies. You sell almost 2 million copies. You take a risk on rebooting Mario Party, and look how well that did. Mario Kart 8 is adding gravity to Mario Kart was probably a big risk, but they did it, right? Making Zelda an open world action RPG was also a huge risk, but they did it, and it's now the best selling Zelda game of all time. So, I think they still have the creative juices flowing over there and doing what they want. Dude, speaking of, look at Pikmin, right? That game is a weird game, right? You throw little bugs at spaceship parts and carry them back to your spaceship and build a spaceship. Who would have thought that would have been successful, right? So, it's focusing on something.
Again, the list of Nintendo developers.
But I think
it's good that you mentioned.
Oh, what? Sorry, go ahead.
You mentioned Pikmin. Something that you would never like. Pikmin is a mixture of a sim game and a real-time strategy game, and Nintendo knows how to do real-time strategy because of Fire Emblem. They know that. But, like, I've never seen Nintendo do a sim game. And the way that Pikmin is, it's just like, this is my first sim game to get into. And it's like, it's really cool that, like, Miyamoto thought of this game because of a garden. Like, that's crazy. Like, little things like that to be inspired to make a game around. And it's bonkers on how well it's sold.
Right. And look at the collaborations they've had too. And I know this isn't Nintendo internally, but look at the success of Mario plus Rabbids. Like, look at that creative freedom. You're telling me you want to give Mario and pair him up with the dumb Rabbids from Rayman and do a strategy, like a XCOM style strategy game on paper. You really think that's going to work? Think about it. Like, just that idea, like, give Mario a gun and team him up with these dumb Rabbids for a strategy game. People
laugh at the idea, and Ubisoft laughed at the bank.
Yeah,
because it's so much. Like you can't. There's weirdness that Nintendo is great at, and that weirdness is successful. Like, I don't think no one would think that Mario and Rabbids. Oh, what nonsense is? Okay, I want this game.
And like, look at the direction they're taking. Not just like game development wise, but like art style wise. Look at Yoshi's Crafted World. Look at Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. Look at Yoshi's Woolly World. Like,
Paper Mario. Like, who the heck was doing a paper game?
Yeah, Mario and Luigi. Like, I still love the art style of Mario and Luigi. Like, I love the art style of the Mario and Luigi games, and I'm sad that Alpha Dream has gone bankrupt, and we might not get one from them for a long time if they stay in business, right? Like, but that art style is really cool, and the concept of the legacy of Mario RPG, right? Like, those are cool art styles. I just can't I can't stress enough how important art styles. Like, even creative freedom. Look at Captain Toad Treasure Tracker.
Yeah,
that's such a weird game that they sold, and now it's just super popular.
A mini game that came from something else that got its own game that sold like bunkers on both consoles, not just Wii U, on Wii U and Switch, like
and 3DS.
And 3DS, yeah, 3. Yeah, I forgot it came out for 3DS. Like,
I know. Once the Switch came out, I think everybody forgot that 3DS existed.
But even with the 3DS, like, I think people don't even realize a simple thing like even Nintendogs on DS. Nonsense on how well that sold. Look at Brain Age. Nonsense on how well that sold. Like, there's nothing about Nintendo that you could pinpoint to be like, this shouldn't work, and yet it did, and it sold well. Whether you continue to play it or not, it was the talk of the town when people got out. Like, the way Sony fans see God of War and Bloodborne is the way people were seeing Nintendogs and Brain Age. Like, $20 for Brain Age, selling like hotcakes.
It was a fun game, by the way. That new one for Switch, I hope, comes over here. So,
it will. It will.
Like, even Luigi's Mansion to an extent, right? Like a ghost busting game starring Luigi. Nobody wants that, but we all want it, right? It's crazy. It's just. And I know a lot of it comes from just like having the love for these characters, but it also comes from like smart game design and making charming characters to fall in love with, and making funny stories or lines of dialogue that you remember, like.
Hey, people are still playing Mario Kart GP by Namco and Luigi's Mansion Arcade from Capcom. Like, folks are still playing that. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, but in terms of favorite Nintendo developer, I mean, like, I don't really know like the team names. I know they're like R&D 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But like, I still think what Aonuma did with Zelda, with Breath of the Wild, and the way that they're kind of taking that series is incredible. I'm still a Twilight Princess defender. I'm still a Majora's Mask defender. I know history has seemed to swap on Majora's Mask, but I've been a defender of that. I wasn't a defender of Wind Waker at first. I'm not gonna be that person, but after playing it, and especially the HD remake on Wii U, which, man, can we please get that game on Switch? Like,
I'm not gonna lie. I defended Wind Waker to the death. When I seen that at E3, I was just like, I need this.
Yeah.
And it's weird that you didn't defend it, knowing that me and you, we love art.
I know. But at that time though, like at the time, I had just like I loved Ocarina and I loved Majora's Mask, and I wanted to see, like, we saw the jump from Mario 64 to Mario Galaxy. We saw the jump from we saw Metroid, right? The Metroid Prime, and not yet, but we saw the Space World demo and stuff, right? Like, and then we saw the Space World demo of Zelda, of that Zelda game, like of Link fighting Ganon in a really good looking version of the Ocarina of Time art style, and I was like, yes, I want that so bad. And then we got Wind Waker, and I was like, man, what is this? But then you play it and realize, oh, this is a really smart Zelda game, and this game is going to age well, and like in terms of not only gameplay but visually, right? Like, you can still go back to the original Wind Waker. Yeah, it's a little It's a little jagged here and there, right? But like, it aged better than anything from that era because of the art style, of the art direction. And you see the upgrade on Wii U, and it's like, man, this game sure.
Isn't it crazy that and this may be me, and viewers, please correct me, leave a comment on our YouTube or Facebook group. I think the Legend of Zelda series may have the most Game of the Years titles, and I'm going based off the way that when Wind Waker came out, it took Game of the Year. Wind Waker came out like what, September or October? Like,
did it? I thought didn't that come out the same year as Metroid Prime? Because I think those games split that year for most places. It was either
most places, yeah. But when Wind Waker came out, because it was being laughed at, when it came out, it literally took Game of the Year. I think Wind Waker took Game of the Year. Ocarina of Time took Game of the Year, I believe. Breath of the Wild, of course, took Game of the Year. Link Between Worlds, like a handheld game.
I know GameSpot gave Link Between Worlds that year Game of the Year, and something else big came out that year that everybody was like super surprised that won. It was. I just remember that conversation. Like, really? Wow, handheld Zelda game. That's interesting. So
like that was crazy.
Yeah.
You know. For me, quickly, I can't. Nintendo is one of the hardest companies to choose a developer to be my favorite, because I support and love all the developers on it. Intelligent System, Retro, Monolith Soft.
I mean, even
the Mario,
even Platinum at this point, they might as well be at this point.
Pretty much, yeah. Like even when Nintendo collab, like Mercury Steam, like that Samus Return is on point, and you cannot deny from going from that last Castlevania game that they got clowned for to Samus Returns being like literally like, this is Game of the Year material right here. A remake
of a Game Boy game.
Of a Game Boy game, like, and Nintendo just like.
I really hope that, like, I know we got Samus Returns on 3DS and now Link's Awakening, but like, I mean, I still hope we get Samus Returns on Switch at some point. But like, I really like what Nintendo's been doing to these old Game Boy games that, like, you know, maybe they had an idea for them back then, but now they're like fully realizing what they wanted to do with that now, right? Like, I mean, you look at Link's Awakening and you're like, man, I can't believe this is the same game, but like, everything is right where you remember it, right? Everything is the same as you remember it. It's just now they have their vision fully realized, and so
right, like shout out to Grezzo for like, Grezzo sat down with Nintendo and they worked together to make this game. There's some technical things, but it's not like a big thing or anything. Like,
Grezzo also remade Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask for all those out there listening for the 3DS. So I just want people to know that that's the developer, and I think they did the Wind Waker HD remake for Wii U. Yeah,
like, it's that's why I feel like I could probably pick something from Microsoft, and I definitely could pick something for Sony. But it's like with Nintendo, I can't pick it. I just can't pick one. Like, all of them are my favorite.
Nintendo is my favorite. Just say it. Just go ahead and say it, Ed. Say it right here.
Nintendo is a developer, because there's some games that say published by Nintendo, developed by Nintendo. So Nintendo.
Our last question of the day comes from Steven Sorbic. He says, "Hey y'all, I found your show a few weeks ago, and I'm really enjoying what you're doing. What is the next game you want to see Nintendo give the Link's Awakening remake treatment?"
Well, I always say Link to the Past, and I want Super Metroid to be remade. Like, I need that game to be remade.
I would like to see, like, the 2D Zelda, like the early 2D Zelda games get the Link's Awakening treatment. Like, especially like if they remade the first game, or even like I could even see them remaking Zelda 2 at some point in this style, you know, like trying to make a decent overworld map that you kind of walk around in, and then, you know, the 2D stuff. Like I really think they could do something interesting with that. You know, they did really good 2D stuff in Link's Awakening that you know, in Zelda 2 you could do some quality of life changes that would just immensely improve that game. You know, I know a lot of people have issues with that game. I never really got into it, but you know, I think those early Zelda games, and like you said, Super Metroid would be, I think now would be the time to do that. I know it's available on Nintendo Switch Online, but I think just giving that game a fresh coat of paint and giving it just some tweaks here and there, like, man, making one of the best games ever made even better is just like, sounds real good right now.
So I'm gonna throw everybody for a loop. Gyromite, or some people call it Gyromite. That was the game that was the game that came with Rob the robot.
We don't need a new Rob the robot.
But think of Gyromite getting mixed with Super Mario Maker. Like that, I think that would be cool. I can't think of what was the gangster gang when it was in the building and you shot them with the zapper.
I don't know. The only game I played with the zapper was Duck Hunt. So
yeah.
What zapper do you prefer, the gray or the orange one?
I prefer the gray. Mine was always gray. It was dark gray, light gray, and then red that says Nintendo.
I have the orange one, so.
You got, I think that's later on. Did they remix? What's the orange?
The orange one is the second edition because they put all those laws in place to make sure like toy guns look different from regular guns, and the gray one looked too much like a real one, I guess.
People would look at that design to be like, "What the heck? This is not a gun." But I guess if y'all want to claim it, I'm just like, I'm like, this thing go click, click, click. I'm like, this is not. But I guess so.
Whatever, man. You know, whatever.
Yeah. I think last but not least for me, I kind of would love, even though this is really pushing it, I kind of would love to have Eternal Darkness like in a remastered remake.
Yeah, I could see them like it would be like that in between space of remaster and remake, right? Where like you could kind of make everything look prettier, but also like update the stuff that might seem out of date and like change it a little bit. Like
goodness,
like the volume stuff, you know, like everybody had that nasty green bar to turn up or turn down your TV.
Oh yeah.
Right? So like you don't really have that anymore. So how would you update? You know, you got to think of those little things. But speaking of Eternal Darkness and not really Eternal Darkness, did you see that the developer of Fatal Frame wants to bring a new version to Switch?
Koei Tecmo?
I don't know who. I don't know.
Yeah,
who said
Fatal Frame is from Koei Tecmo. I was just thinking about that. I was just about to be like, that's why I was just like, ugh. And
I mean, you could remake the first two, those first two that were on PS2, right?
Yeah.
Like you could have an HD remaster of those games, right? So that'd be kind of neat. Even though I don't play horror games, I wouldn't play them, but that would still be cool.
Who would you give Eternal Darkness to? And I would fear giving it to Remedy.
I don't. I mean, I like Control and Quantum Break, right? Like I like those games. I've played Quantum Break a couple years ago, and I didn't finish it, but I want to. But I've been playing Control, and like I like that game. But I wouldn't really give it to Remedy though. I was thinking maybe, man, I don't know who you would give that to, because like you don't really need to give it to. Actually, you know who would be a great developer for it? And I know they work a lot with PlayStation, but I know they've worked on other consoles before, is Blue Point.
I can see Blue Point doing it, yeah. I
just because they do really good remasters and remake stuff.
They're very
good at like making sure everything feels like you remember it and updating the things that need updated. And that Shadow of the Colossus remake was pretty good. The ports of the Nathan Drake collection was faithfully Uncharted. Like, you know what I mean? Like they do pretty decent work in terms of faithfully remaking and remastering stuff. So
yeah, I could see Blue Point doing it. Like, I think they're technical wizards, and they really got a vision on how a game will look like. It won't be the same Eternal Darkness, but I think they could just add. I think they could add some craziness to it to really push it to horror. To be like, whoa, what we thought what we was getting from the original, they've just pushed it to beyond and did a fantastic job. I would give it a Blue Point. Yeah.
Yeah. You could almost give it to Supermassive too, the developers of Until Dawn and I mean, not that like they're going to remake it, but like they do well in that realm of making things feel really scary. Until Dawn is very scary, and if you want to like give it that little extra push of horror, like maybe you could look at them. I don't know. It's just an idea.
Camera angles and psych outs are a big thing for Eternal Darkness, so they really would have to bring it. Like, it has literally got to be some craziness, a bit creepy, but more psychological. Because walking past a mirror, and then, like, of course, the whole thing would be like your reflection would come out. But I was just like, they could twist this in a certain way. Also, someone hurry up and bring Beautiful Joe to Switch. I need that.
Yeah.
I was just.
Oh man, could you imagine if they gave Beautiful Joe the Wind Waker treatment?
Oh,
just,
good.
Like making it look really like a comic book popping off the page. Oh, so
I think I would literally go pre-order something that's not.
I mean, you look how good Okami looks, right? Like Okami HD looks amazing.
Yes.
Which is a game I really want to play. I downloaded it and then I just never got to it because of things, but I got to be on the ball now, like if we're pushing this new thing that we're doing and trying to get it off the ground and getting everybody on board, like I got to be on the ball now and be able to play games and look at games differently and everything. So but like I have a small backlog list of games that I need to play and need to finish, and Okami HD is on that list. My game of the year list to finish and my backlog game list are two different lists. Ed knows I like to make lists, but
yes.
Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode of Nintendo Power Block. I want to thank everybody for watching. Remember, you can find the show every Saturday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube, Spotify, and other podcast apps. Remember to enter our giveaway. We are giving away Pokemon Sword and Shield. So remember, you have up to 4 ways to enter. If you send them all in one email, that's okay too. Details at the top of the show. Should I run down those details again real quick? I might as well real quick. I'm just going to read what I have written down here instead of explaining it again. We are giving away a digital copy of both Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield. You can enter up to 4 times by each of the following. Screenshot your podcast subscription. That's 1. Review and rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That's 2. 5-star reviews are the best, so make sure you leave that 5-star review. An NX YouTube subscription and a Mixer follow. Then send us an email of your screenshots to nintendopowblock@gmail.com and tell us where you listen to us and what you like about the show. The winner will be drawn on the Thursday prior to the game being released. Get your entries in, and we will get counting. So I got to look that up now because that's really bothering me. It's Thursday the 14th. We'll be announcing that winner, hopefully live. So
yes.
Yeah. So let me fix that on here. So next week when I go to read this, it'll be fixed. Let's see. 14. Fixing on the fly. You guys will never know, but that's okay. So get your entries in. I'm very excited for this giveaway, so please come check us out. And by the way, Ed and I think are going to do a separate episode that'll go up on all feeds about how we're launching this Patreon and what we need, what we want, and what we expect, and what we really want to do. I follow a lot of Patreons, and I've been going back and forth on whether or not to do one or not, and because I don't want to be the guy that seems greedy, but I also think that everybody puts in a lot of work to these shows and what we've done over the last 3-4 years at this point. Ed and I have been doing stuff together since 2015. Jesse joined us in 2017. Ray's been doing stuff since 2015 ish, probably a little bit before then, but that's when I found Ray. So we have a strong team, and I think just based on what we are doing and what we have done, I think everybody deserves us to be rewarded for that in my brain. So I want to see this team succeed and be rewarded for the work that they do, and I hope that's not greedy. I think it's passion and love of what we do, and we want to keep doing it, and we do, and it's not uncommon for people to launch Patreons. We just talked about 2 today that launched. So and we have friends that have Patreons, and I think I think we can do it. So Ed and I are going to have a separate episode of stuff that's going up that'll be up on the NX Show feed and this feed, the Nintendo Power Block feed. So and where we're going to announce shows and exclusive content and stuff. So look out for that. Ed, I know you're off this weekend, or Saturday at least. So maybe Saturday night, me and Jesse can get together and talk about it while we play Gears or something. We'll do something. So anyways, Ed, where can we find you?
You guys can find me on Twitter at ThatRetroCode, and check out Option Opinion on SoundCloud and other podcast apps.
You can find me at CorinHD713 on Twitter and CorinHD on Mixer and Instagram. You can also find both of us on the NX Show, which is available on podcast services every Wednesday. That this is kind of, the NX Show is kind of just about all kinds of video games and stuff that we love, and news and stuff. Ed hosts, and I ride shotgun, and Jesse and Ray are there as well. So, I like to over-explain things. I've noticed. I've been listening to myself on podcasts lately, and now I'm in my head. So I feel like my conversation quality has degraded because I'm in my head, and also I'm tired from staying up late from making sure everything's up to date. So when we finally do things, it'll just be ready and I can just focus on this, right? I was thinking about that today at lunch, where I was like, if I could just get everything fixed and finished, I can actually sit down and play games when my wife and kid go to bed, instead of remaking the thumbnails for the 4th time, or updating the website for the 3rd time, or and you know what I mean? If I would just stop giving myself projects, I can enjoy the stuff I like to enjoy. I'm just really bad at I want everything to look perfect, right? That's my downfall, Ed, is I want everything to look perfect and look good, to the point where if I see one thing off about something, I will go in and fix it, but then I realize that I have to fix everything else that came before it. So, I was looking at Nintendo Power Block's playlist today, and just looking at all the old Power Block episode stuff, and I'm like, man, we started at 161 with the new iteration of Power Block. Do I want to go back and fix the other episodes? and that's not just in terms of the YouTube page. I'm like, should I make new thumbnails for the website and for the old podcasts? Do I need to do that? And my brain's like, no, you idiot, just use the old ones. But then my creative side's like, do it. So, but anyways, hopefully you like, subscribe, and share. Rate and review us on your podcast service of choice. It really helps with discoverability. I am liking the way our numbers are going. They are going up.
Yes.
48% more listeners this week than last week. So I'm happy with that. And, I like the way the NX show's numbers are going up as well. So I know we need to do a better job of promoting the show on social media, which we will get to. But anyways, these outros are taking way too long. So I want to thank everybody for watching. And until next time, we love you.
Bye, everybody. Woohoo!